Hey, what's up everybody? Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome back to another edition of MX Bikes Progression Series. Today, we're going to play MX Bikes on Hawkstone Park, which is a track in England, and I am riding an Alta Redshift MXR in MX Bikes today. Are you ready to listen to this thing? Oh, baby. Alright, so I'm not going to make you guys listen to this thing the entire time. It's a little much, but we're gonna go ahead and play an electric bike today in MX Bikes. It's pretty much the only game I think out right now that has an electric bike that you can use in it. This game was made by a combination of people, TFC, Astral, and a huge group of guys that they all worked with to make the Alta Redshift. I'm sure some of you watching will have already seen guys like G-Dub and a couple others play the Alta Redshift in MX Bikes before, so this may not be anything new to you, but if you're new to my channel and maybe just new to motocross in general and don't know what the Alta Redshift MXR is, well, it's an electric motorcycle. It has one gear. It's basically on or off essentially, and there's no clutch on the bike. You don't have to shift. It's very interesting. I've ridden one in real life before. My buddy Brian actually owns one. Be sure to follow him on Instagram at BW Haskell, and he posts a lot of cool stuff. I think he has a YouTube channel with the same name, so you can check out some of his Alta videos. Unfortunately, the company that makes these bikes went out of business, so the march for electric bikes has kind of stalled for now, which is going to make a lot of people happy. But honestly speaking, I've ridden that bike, as I said, and it was a lot of fun. Like, it's a really good thing, these electric bikes, for kind of not necessarily progressing the sport, but keeping the sport alive in some sense. A lot of the reasons that modern day tracks are shut down are, you know, housing developments moving too close to a racetrack and then noise complaints coming about. And if we can fix that by having bikes that make no noise in some sense, we might be able to save some tracks. But at the very least, these bikes would be amazing to have if you own property somewhere and you don't want neighbors to be complaining about noise all the time, so you can build a track and ride an e-bike around. So I'm a proponent of e-bikes. I mean, like, I own a two-stroke as well, so I'm two-stroke army, and I love all motorcycles really. But I think for, you know, an aspect in terms of owning property, wanting a spot to ride on your house, like, e-bikes is a great choice in my opinion, and hopefully something comes around like an Alta at some point that replaces it and we can get more e-bikes out there to ride. But in this game, they did a very good job of making kind of the playability of an Alta, or like the realistic aspects of an Alta, playable in this game like really smoothly. Obviously the one gear, so I never have to shift, but like the power flow of it's really good, I would say. I mean, I didn't actually play this track yet on a regular bike, but I feel like the power dies a little too much on these uphills. You know, having ridden it, I know that the Alta has plenty of power to get up and down hills, no problem. I've personally seen Brian rip around places like Kauai and Glen Helen really fast on an Alta, so the hills are never a problem. I'm not sure if that's, like I said, a proponent of just the game itself, or if they kind of nerfed the Alta a little bit because it's only one gear and it kind of bogs down in this game. I'm not too sure. Clearly they edited the sound file that goes with the bike because it has a very interesting rise and fall. Like, it's actually not too dissimilar to what an Alta sounds like in real life, but it's maybe a little too high pitched. The Alta really doesn't sound like, you can't hear it that much unless you're like right next to the track. And even then, so like, you only hear like a little high-pitched whine as it goes by, and when you're on it you barely hear it at all. It's really, really weird sensation. But anyway, enough about the Alta. MX Bikes, playing it again. I figured this was a good video to jump back into because I haven't done a progression series video in this game in a while. I'm actually going to switch to first person now so I can do a little bit of this action. Pull a tear off because there's some gook on my face. And I actually had someone, I forget your name, I apologize, recommend that I play MX Bikes Progression Series again, and I thought that was a good idea. I was actually looking into playing a Reflex custom track, but there's really not too many new tracks out lately, and was trying to not kill the vibe, but like break up the whole Monster Energy Supercross 2 party a little bit. I've been playing that game a lot, so Wanted to do something fun and different today, and figured a little bit of fun playing MX bikes on the Alta would be a good thing to do. So loaded up this game, got the Alta in game, and have been trying it out ever since. I'm having a lot of fun playing it again. It's a very, very challenging game for those of you that don't know anything about it. Obviously, a lot of you people watching maybe know about MX Simulator, and it's essentially like a competitor to MX Sim is MX Bikes. Like the creator Piboso of MX Bikes also made a game called GP Bikes, which is about street bike racing and replicating that. And MX Bikes has been, oh my gosh, there's a ghost that freaked me out. MX Bikes has been a work in progress for 6 years now, 5-6 years, and it's been in beta form since. This is version 10 of the beta, and it's really gotten a lot better since I very first played it. And you could probably go back and watch my very first progression series video in this game and realize like just how kind of not bad but weird the game was back then. And that was in beta 4, I want to say, when I played it back then. But the actual physical aspects of this in terms of like riding a motorcycle are pretty fun. Like you really have to use both brakes. Like I was using the front brake a lot coming down that hill. I was leaning back all the way coming down the hill. Obviously there's the cool aspect of like tear offs, so do that. Even over jumps you can do them. It's very finicky to play. Like the bounciness of the bike and the rider is a little tough to get used to, but once you get used to it, it's definitely a pretty fun game. Much like Sim, you do have to put quite a bit of time into it to get halfway decent at it. Since they've released some of the newer betas, it's actually become a little bit easier to play, and so that's why like I can kind of take some time off and pick it back up and still be half decent at the game. But it's a challenge nonetheless. Like even picking it up after playing it for a couple weeks at a time, I would still struggle to run good clean laps in the game. But it's definitely a lot of fun. Like it I wouldn't say it very like perfectly or anything like that represents what it's like to ride a dirt bike in real life, but it definitely has much more simulated aspects about real life riding and racing than, you know, the arcade games like All Out and Monster Energy Supercross give you. So that aspect of it's fun, because if you're a super moto head and you like the idea of like clutching for shifting, which I'm not doing right now because I'm riding the Alta, or you know, using your body weight to corral yourself coming down a hill, or you know, using front and rear brakes at different times and things like that, you know, this game really does a good job of kind of separating all of those things into different aspects of the game. Oh my gosh, what a save. And yeah, it's interesting. I think you'll pick this one up if you've never played it before, which you can go to mx-bikes.com and try out the demo. You'll pick it up and think that it's honestly probably not very fun, because it's very challenging once you first start playing it. But once you get the hang of it and you put a little time into it, I really do think that there's a really good playability aspect to this game. And I know for a fact that there's a lot of people that are much more into this game than there are MX Simulator. So if you're on the fence about MX Simulator and you're not too sure whether you like the simulated feel of MX Simulator and you want to try maybe a more in-depth slash, you know, kind of semi more realistic gameplay, MX Bikes could be your go-to route. So like I said, you know, mx-bikes.com, there's a place to try out the demo. It has an awesome community that's not necessarily like as vibrant as the Reflex community or Sim community is or was, but there's still some good people there for sure, and they are, you know, because it's not as deep, I would say, as the Sim community. You may not get your questions answered immediately, but once they get to them, they'll definitely be very informative and helpful. They've been so helpful to me when I was trying to learn the game that I'm sure they would do the same for any of you new players out there. And most of the time I don't feel like I would give a spiel like this, but given that the channel has grown a good couple thousand subscribers in like the last week and a half or so, due to the new Monster Energy Supercross 2 gameplays, I feel like some of you may watch this game seeing my channel for the first time and trying to maybe, you know, see more about what we do on the channel and see this game and see it pop up in their feed and be like, what is this? Never heard of it before, never seen it, want to try it out. So that's why I'm giving you a little spiel about it. Otherwise, I just play the game and try to feel it out. And yeah, kind of the spiel about MX bikes. This is, I think, episode number 8 of Progression Series, and the Progression Series this whole time has been me trying to get better at the game, which doesn't usually happen very well when I take so much time off from the game. So I apologize for that it's gone in waves. I'm trying to get a little bit more committed to like an actual schedule on the channel again, because for the last 6 months it's been kind of just winging it. And that's worked, but I'd like to actually have some things that are pretty regularly involved. I mean, my MX Simulator Track Walk series is practically gone at this point, and I'd like to bring that back a little bit more regularly as well. It's so difficult during the season, though, and yeah, I'm sure we'll figure stuff like that out. But now it's just some MX bikes fun, and I can't figure out what I want to play this game in. Third person, I feel like gives me a little bit too much confidence. Like, I feel like a little bit too comfortable playing in third person, because it's just what I'm used to, not only from Sim, but from other games. So I feel like I push it a little bit, and I'm not as careful with like the throttle and stuff like that, whereas in first person, because I can't see where I'm going as well, I'm maybe a little bit more relaxed and not trying to push the envelope as much. So I can't figure it out yet. I think I'm going to probably stick with first person, but I'm trying to use both cameras in the videos so that you can kind of see what the options are. Really have been enjoying this downhill coming up too, where you can kind of charge into it, get on the brakes, lean back, jump down the hill, get into the braking bumps. Like that's pretty fun. Like the bike gets a little too out of shape, I feel like, for a realistic sense, but it still is pretty cool, I think. Oh my gosh, what a save. I thought for sure I was going down right there. I really feel that this is one of those games that if I maybe just decided to like sit down and just like try hard it, that I could maybe get actually pretty decent at it. But man, I feel like that would be a long process. Like it'd take me a long time to feel that comfortable in the game like I do maybe in Sim. And I'm really good at games when I don't talk. Like I feel like sometimes my gameplay abilities don't come off very strongly because when I'm sitting here chatting, I'm maybe not putting as much effort into the game as I could be or should be. So if you've ever watched actually some of my first person or third person's perspective gameplays in Sim, like I at one point was a pretty good pro in the game, so like I know what I'm doing in that. And usually motocross games I'm not too bad at. I would say like the worst games I'm at are the MXRZ TV series. Like guys have definitely figured out a way to do some ridiculous lines in that game, or those games that I cannot figure out. I'm trying to seat bounce this jump and I just cannot get it. But in a game like this, I feel like I said, that my abilities are good enough that if I sat down and actually learned the physical aspects of the game, I wouldn't be half bad at it. Like just right now, look at how much I've progressed in this one lap. Like I'm absolutely ripping around the track suddenly. I don't know what happened there, but it's awesome. Oh my goodness. I think this is the finish line right here too. And you'll notice that my pit board keeps popping back up as I'm coming out of the back hills. And that's literally just because that's where your mechanic is located, and you only get to see a pit board when you're going past the mechanics area for like about 10-15 seconds. Really, I mean, if you're playing in first person, you don't see anything. If you're playing it on a bike like a normal combustion engine motorcycle, you won't even know what gear you're in. You're just kind of using your real life knowledge and aspects to figure out what gear you're probably in. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm curious what lap time I just ran, because I felt like it was really smooth. Maybe a little bit off kilter at the end. Let's throw a whipper tail for fun. Oh, too much. Nope, we're good. So let's see, my mechanic board's gonna be up here. Oh, no lap time that time? What happened? Did I go off the track somewhere? So the mechanic is essentially right there. You could see the pit board floating. In fact, I'm just gonna go show that off because that's probably something you didn't see at all just now. So it acts as if the mechanic is right here. Let me turn around and I'll roll by the pit board. See it? There it is, sitting right there. Now the ghost is long gone. Let me finish off one more lap over by the area where I actually came onto the track, and we'll call it a video. A little nice MX Bikes progression video, getting back into the flow of things here. Let me see if I can find a nice jump to do a somewhat whipper tail off of in third person. You can throw some kind of cool looking whips in this game. I am definitely not talented enough to really do it justice, so I apologize for that. Any of you MX Bikes fans out there that are going to absolutely hate how miserable these whips probably look. But it's so bouncy, like you come up short on a jump and it just absolutely sends you. I think that tabletop down the back straightaway here that I'm coming up to I can probably use for a good whip jump. I so badly wanted to clear this step up though, and I'm not even going to do it because I just completely squidded out before it. Alright, let me come over this single and try to get a run. Or just, you know, sauce out all the way down the straightaway. Sweet! Let me go back and do that again. Alright, get a whip off. That was terrible. Let me go to that back tabletop. I want to prove it to you guys that you can whip. Oh, that was not where I expected the ground to pinch me. Going to this back section. Down this way. Get a nice little run off the hill up here. And, well, not really off the hill, I guess. Kind of just off this turn. And then it's a not too bad spot to throw a whip off of. Whoop, up, 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 up. Just getting sent. Alright, here we go. Yeah, that was alright. That's about as good as I can whip in real life anyway. That's probably actually better than I can whip in real life. So we'll say that was decent. That was a good enough whip. Looked half garbage, but half garbage is better than no garbage, I suppose. Anyway, that's another MX Bikes progression video here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to ask me some questions about this game or anything that I can answer for you, hopefully, let me know in the comment section below. I'd be happy to try to get back to those as soon as possible. But thanks for watching another video here on Start Your Systems. My name is Kellen, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.